Hi there. Today we have a rather interesting unit that's up for a review. It's called the Ninjadog Astra One Ultra, and it claims to be a premium telescopic controller with Hall effect sticks. Now that makes me surprised given the price it's been launched at. So let's see how it really is. The packaging is alright, nothing too premium, not too shoddy either. Here's a manual, there is a normal USB-C cable. Now coming on to the device itself. It doesn't look too bad. It actually looks quite nice. There's a plastic sheath on the sticks for protection during transit, so that's a good touch. Looking at the device itself, the build quality seems much more improved than the last one that I tested. There's a clear acrylic-like film or casing on the hand grips. It's probably not acrylic since it doesn't seem too brittle, probably PETG. Overall though, the device feels quite nice in the hand. Let's see if it actually performs up to mark. Initial pairing is done by pressing and holding the wireless icon button right under the D-pad. And well, what do we have here? The lighting is a little too bright for my taste. Let me see if I can switch it off. Yes, I can. So let's quickly try sliding an iPhone in and see how it works. Once inside the clamp, it seems to be quite securely fastened. Connecting it to the controller requires you to go into the settings, into the Bluetooth menu, and then complete the pairing. That should take a moment, and now we're all set. Switching off the light again. Let's get on with a quick subjective gaming test. I'm going to use one of my favorite racing games. Setting it up, like I said, was fairly easy. Time to launch into the actual gameplay. The trigger buttons are nice and clicky. The shoulder buttons not as clicky, but the overall tactile feel is fine. And now that the quick subjective test is done, let's get on to the more objective elements. First up, the sticks themselves. 1. Are they truly Hall effect? 2. How do they feel in the hand? The quick answer is, they do seem nice. The movement is smooth. As for the D-pads, it's fairly easy to use diagonal movements. Now before we check the accuracy of the sticks and to determine if they're truly Hall effect, we'll get to that in a while. But before we get to that, let's take a quick look at how it feels and fares compared to some of the other telescopic controllers that I already have. First up, my existing favorite, the Nacon MGX Pro. The subjective feel of the buttons and the sticks is quite similar, but we'll have to get to the objective test to see if the Ultra can actually beat the Nacon. Moving on to the Razer Kishi. This is a V1, not the V2. Unfortunately for me, this device is no longer of any use for me. I tried pairing an iPhone 15 Pro Max, which I recently got, but no luck. Taking it out of the case as well doesn't seem to help. And the problem for that is that the receptacle to put the phone into the controller's USB-C port is quite narrow. And what that means is, no matter what I do, I simply cannot get the Kishi to connect with my 15 Pro Max. Unfortunately for me, my other phone is a Samsung Fold 4, and there is absolutely no way I can make it work with the Kishi because it won't go in either in its folded or unfolded state. Clamping the phones into the Astra One Ultra or the Nacon with or without a phone case, however, is not an issue whatsoever. It probably takes me a second or two to get it done. We see a similar pattern with the Fold 4, where sliding it into the Ultra or the Nacon MGX Pro, both in its folded or unfolded state, is not an issue whatsoever. I presume that it should again be a similar result for most other phones. Unfortunately, the Kishi simply does not work with the Fold in either state. Next up, let's get into the more detailed and objective tests with the Astra One Ultra. For this, we connected the Astra One Ultra over Bluetooth to a Rogue Ally, which incidentally detects it as a Xbox controller. And then we use Windows X Input API to test how the joysticks fare on a control test. As you can see, the movement as well as the precision actually seem to be quite accurate. But really be a Hall effect stick. Let's test the circularity and see what's the tracking error we get. Now this is very surprising, to say the least. Both the sticks. I've never seen a tracking error of 0%. Like never, not on any controller. How exactly did they manage this? To understand why I'm so surprised, you might want to see how it looks, the same test that is, on the original Xbox core controller. As you can see, the sticks are tracking fine, but there is a fair degree of deviation from the actual axis, to the tune of 7 to 8%. The same tracking error test shows about 0.5 to 0.6% tracking error on the Gulikit King Kong 2 Pro. So what exactly is happening here? Which is why we next tried to test the Hall effect sensors on the controller. But since we could not dismantle the device, we used an unshielded magnet from an old speaker to try see if bringing it close to the sensor has any impact on the stick movement on the screen, which as you can see is actually being translated. Just to validate the accuracy of this makeshift test, we performed the same test on the Gulikit, which yielded the same results, while the Xbox core controller and the Nacon MJX Pro did not translate to any movement on the screen, which is expected as well since they are normal resistive sticks. Getting back to the rest of the controller, the sticks are phenomenal. The rest of the controller is fine. The triggers could have been analog, but they are digital triggers, but they are acceptable. Nice micro switches with a fairly clicky action to them. The D-pad, as mentioned before, is again an improvement over the erstwhile model. Anyway, enough talking, let's test out some games in real life. First up, PlayStation streaming. On a side note, I much prefer the PS Play application over the native Sony Remote Play app. Reason being, it allows me to choose the appropriate bitrate and the appropriate resolution instead of trying to second guess it for me. Overall though, it's quite an enjoyable experience on the Ultra. The sticks are extremely accurate, the buttons are fine, and the grips are reasonably comfortable. I think I could easily spend an hour or two without my palms getting tired. Coming to the conclusion, honestly, it's hard to find faults with this device. It improves upon the regular Astra One in every possible way. The sticks are the biggest improvement and are possibly better in many ways than significantly more expensive controllers, as I don't think there are any Hall effect controllers at anywhere near this price point, let alone a telescopic one. The overall finish is also very good, at par with everything except of course the ultra premium options. The buttons are fair, the D-pad is good. As for the latency, I did not test it as I've already done it for its predecessor, and this one appears to be the same or better. Regarding compatibility, it worked fine with Android, iPhone, Switch and Windows in my testing without any issues. Now, before I gush any further, there are a couple of negatives worth pointing out. The lights are gaudy. They actually take away from the visual impact of the unit by being too bright and too flashy. And while they can be switched off, it needs to be done at each restart. The gyroscopic controls are also largely a gimmick, and the vibration effects are a little too strong for my liking. And while all of these extra effects and features can be switched off, it probably would have been better if the cost that was spent on these could have been put on something more useful, like maybe a carry case. To conclude, I really enjoyed my time with the Astra One Ultra. I think it's an unreserved recommendation from my end, and the folks at Ninjadog seem to have hit it out of the park with this model. I've tried to summarize my findings in the chart above. Do take a look, and if you have any questions, please feel free to leave your questions or comments in the comment section below. Thank you for watching.